Hello friends, in this video we will register create user URL to the Spring Cloud API gateway and we will create user. But we will create user by encoding the password. Right, so in the previous video we enable this Spring Cloud API gateway. So we need to register this create user URL in Spring Cloud API gateway. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I am in the user service and user service we created this API, right, to create the user in the database. Okay, and now in Spring Cloud API gateway we we are doing this configuration of the endpoint, right? In the previous some video we register this endpoint status check endpoint. If you not check this video, please check. You can find the link in the description. Okay, similarly we will register the create user URL in the Spring Cloud API gateway. Okay, so to register this URL, we need to just copy this and I will tell you what changes we need to do. Okay, so if you not register this URL in the Spring Cloud API gateway, you are not able to trigger this create user API. So that's why we have to enable this create user API in Spring Cloud API gateway. Okay, first of all, our routes is this is our zeroth route and this is our first route, right? So change this to the first. Now we change this route to the 0 to first. Now we need the ID, right? So change this ID to the user create. Okay, this is the unique ID for our API. So this is belonging to our API gateway only, this ID. This is not related to our API, just we are giving this is the unique API configuration. Okay, so URL, this is how we have this load balancing URL for our user microservice. And path, this is the path we have to apply the predicate, right? So whatever incoming path we are adding, so that same we have to add. Suppose we are adding user create, right? So suppose the user create path is matched, then only this next code is executed and it will trigger the URL. Else it will reject that. Okay, so let's check. In user service we have this post URL, right? This is the post URL. So similarly in the Spring Cloud API gateway we have to change this method to the get to the post. So this is remove request header cookies. So this is by default we are removing the cookies. Rewrite URL. Okay, if the incoming URL, this user create URL, okay, let me paste this user create URL, then trigger this user create URL. Okay, let me copy this user create URL. This is the path is user and this is the create. Okay, this is from the user service. So it will trigger this URL. Let me explain. Suppose incoming URL we trigger this user create URL, it will internally create URL with the user create URL. It will trigger this URL. Like in earlier video, we already configure this status check URL. If the health check URL from incoming URL is a predicate is matched, then it will trigger this URL. So similarly, we are creating this for our create user. Okay, let's uh, let's check how it is working or not. Let's try to create the user. Okay, now our application is running. Let's first check in the database in the S2 console. Let's check. We don't have any record. And right, this URL, right? This is our Spring Cloud API Gateway URL, and this is our user create URL from the Spring Cloud API Gateway. Okay, this is the same URL. Okay, okay. Now our URL is ready. Let's send the request. Here now you can see our user is created. Let's check in the database. Here you can see our this Pawan Gavande's user is already created. Okay, okay. In the next video, we will save this password as in the encrypted format. Thank you.